So, and then, in order to be certified to teach this training, you need to really take the training 3 times. You need to be a teacher's assistant, and you need to go through a training as a teacher in training. So I did both those trainings in British Columbia.
Wow, excellent.
And I've also done advanced trainings with Franklin Sills in the States and in London. And I keep my continuing education up. I was just at a conference in London, England in May, where there were lots of different speakers and workshops. So I always keep updating my information. It's an approach that is always evolving, which is pretty exciting. And the more we learn about the nervous system and the more we learn, that gets integrated into this work. So
Yeah, it sounds like one of those techniques where you can just dive in there and it's like a whole universe onto its own.
It really is. And what my students have said about it is, yes, they've learned a new approach that they're working with, but also it's transformative for their life. They said it's changed their life, and some of them, as we all do, have gone through some difficult things in life, parents dying, people getting ill, things that happen in life. And they said, if I didn't have this, I wouldn't have made it through that so smoothly.
On a personal note, has practicing and teaching this technique, has it changed your life? Has it impacted? Has it made you grow?
Absolutely, yeah. It still is. I'm always learning and always growing, and really learning to be present. It sounds so simple, but it's quite deep and quite profound. And really learning to not so much orient towards pain or suffering, or suffering is a part of our human life. It's a part of our life on earth. But when we are able to put it in a larger context of the whole being, then it becomes just a suffering of that one part. It's not all of who we are.
Could you take me through a session? Like, can anything happen during a session? What does happen? Is there something globally that happens for everybody, or is it totally a unique experience for everybody?
It's pretty much different every time. I can say what a session looks like.
Yes.
The person comes, we have a conversation about their health, what their concerns are. The person is clothed. They lie on a table, and a massage table, in a supported way with pillows wherever they need. Comfort is important,
Yes.
and I take some time to center and ground myself. Contact is negotiated, meaning I don't touch someone without their permission. So I say, I'm ready. Are you ready for contact? And there's a constant communication of if they're comfortable or not, which is important. Sometimes the session and the contact is similar to an osteopathic contact, but we're not doing all the stretching and manipulation. So it's a full hand contact with not a lot of pressure. We're not moving over the body like massage. We're holding a position for 5-10 minutes and then moving to another position. What I'm actually doing is listening to all the movements in the body of the energy system, of the fluids in the body, of the tissues in the body, and being able to sense where there is inertia or congestion, and we learn specific healing processes that the body does on its own, but inside a relational field, that healing process is augmented. And with a practitioner who is grounded and present, those processes are augmented. And as I'm orienting towards health, that allows their system to orient towards health. So sometimes what they notice is very physical, like the pressure in the sacroiliac joint is relieved, or things actually move. There's an opening, a softening, a relaxation. Sometimes it's quite emotional. It's rarely cathartic. We're moving away from that cathartic way of practicing with emotional work, and learning to slow that down in order to allow the nervous system to be in balance. So we're not re-traumatizing the person. So there may be some verbal interaction. There may be, an emotional release. Oftentimes, people have profound insights because we're helping. It's a being to being contact. We're not really contact. We are touching the body, but we're not diving into the personality and the history so much. We're allowing that life force and that soul force to come through.
So are you saying that they can take something home and they'll see some kind of change, and they may call you or they may ask for another appointment.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing process, obviously.
Yeah, it depends on the person. It's very individual in that, if someone is in an acute state, they may come every week for a while. Most clients come every 2 or 3 weeks because it's nice to have some time for integration between. I have some clients who come 3 times a year for a tune-up, so it's very individual depending on what's going on with the person.
Let's go a little bit specific. I'm curious, because some viewers might have questions, or perhaps maybe just to pique their interest, could you tell us a bit about the craniosacral fluid, what it does,
Okay.
and if you do use it in the technique?
Yeah, the cerebral spinal fluid is this fluid that surrounds the brain and spinal cord. It's produced in the ventricles in the brain, and it's reabsorbed into the blood in vessels in the brain. So it's circulated. Our very first cerebral spinal fluid is in the development of the embryo, there's a neural tube that forms, and this neural tube forms around amniotic fluid. And so our very first cerebral spinal fluid is amniotic fluid. But in the adult, it's a filtrate of blood. It's a very pure substance. There's no cells in this fluid. There's no...
So it's a clear or a white fluid?
Yeah, it's clear. And it's like an elixir. If... you can think of, I don't know if people may be familiar with Bach flower remedies or vibrational medicine, where the idea is that a flower has information in it, and which anything from nature does, including our bodies, and that the sunlight imprints that on water. That's what a Bach flower remedy is. So our cerebral spinal fluid is our own little Bach flower remedy.
Interesting. Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah. So the energy in our biosphere imprints on the fluids of the body, not only the cerebral spinal fluid, but all the fluids of the body. And that cerebral spinal fluid, it bathes the brain and spinal cord. It also circulates around the pituitary gland, which is the master gland of the endocrine system. So those two systems really regulate our whole body.
Yep.
So what's going on in the cerebral spinal fluid is helping to regulate the whole body.
Wow, very good. Could you tell our viewers where your studio is located?
Yes, the studio is in the Mile End area of Montreal. It's in a big industrial building, so it's a loft with natural light. And it's on Casgrain Street between Saint-Viateur and Fairmount. So, yeah, we have lots of natural light. And
it's a huge, lovely space, too, by the way.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's really... So the curtains we're standing in front of, I put down when I'm seeing private clients to create a little separate space, but when we're giving a training, the curtains go up and we use this whole space.
Rebekah, thank you very much. It's been very insightful.
Great.
And I hope some viewers are curious enough to give you a shout.
I do too. Thank you so much for doing this.